Ten10 News. We provide top 10 news in 10 minutes. I'm Esther Park.
And I'm Andy Hong. Today's, believe it or not, already the second to last day of May. Hard to believe that 2014 is almost halfway over. Well, I'm just wondering when we're ever going to go public. Hopefully soon.
Yes.
But we do have some serious news this week, so let's hold off on the informalities for a little. Just after last week's broadcast on May 23rd, a mentally disturbed 22-year-old named Elliot Roger murdered 3 men in his apartment and viciously attacked the innocent residents of Isla Vista through a series of shootings and hit and runs. Most of the victims were UC Santa Barbara students. The gunman, who took his own life when surrounded by police after murdering 6 and wounding 13 others, had run-ins with law enforcement before, and he was known to have mental and social problems, as shown in his disturbing misogynist YouTube videos and his manifesto, My Twisted World. So, the question is, how did Roger ever get not just one, but many firearms? Last time I checked, there is more to the Constitution than the Second Amendment. I believe it also says, right, in the beginning, everybody has a right to life, among other things such as liberty and the pursuit of happiness. Nothing about getting randomly gunned down in the streets there.
Yes, and a few weeks ago, we talked about the incident of the Veterans Affairs problem of how the delayed medical care and misconduct at the VA facilities had led to deaths of many veterans. On Thursday, Veterans Affairs Secretary Eric Shinseki began to quickly lose support and is struggling to maintain his job. He spoke privately with lawmakers and 24 veterans groups, assuring them that he had taken the reports gravely and working on to fix them. On Friday, which is today, he resigned from President Barack Obama's cabinet, taking the blame for what he decried as a lack of integrity in the sprawling healthcare system for the nation's military veterans. Obama praised the 4-star general and said he accepted his resignation with considerable regret. The president appointed Sloan Gibson as temporary secretary as the search for the permanent successor began. I really agree that veterans deserve the best of the best.
And in Eastern Europe, Ukraine seems to be past the point of no return, and it's what is now almost a civil war. Soon after billionaire Petro Poroshenko, the Eastern European equivalent of Willy Wonka, was elected to the Ukrainian presidency, violence broke out near the Donetsk airport, claiming dozens of lives once again. Also yesterday, pro-Russian militants shot down a Ukrainian army helicopter, killing 12. Poroshenko, firmly stated that Russian cooperation is necessary to bring Ukraine together once again, but Russia seems to do just the opposite. Ukraine just confirmed that Russians have been participating in the eastern insurrections. Also, although Putin pledged to withdraw troops from the Ukrainian border, we are receiving conflicting reports from U.S. defense officials and NATO reports on whether or not changes have been made yet to the tens of thousands of Russian regulars stationed near Ukraine.
A few weeks ago, a truck loaded with munitions drove up a hillside in northern Syria. Seconds later, there was a massive blast followed by cries of Allahu Akbar, or God is great in Arabic, and rattling of gunfire. The late Thursday, the officers were able to confirm the suicide attacker in the bombing depicted in this online video was an American jihadi radical Islamist claiming responsibility for the blast have said. Late Thursday, 2 U.S. officials confirmed their boast. The man called by the nom de guerre, Abu Huraya Amriki, was a U.S. citizen who grew up in Florida and went to school there. Neither official would disclose the bomber's real name. Investigators are interviewing family members of him and is among a group of Americans whom intelligence agents have been trying to keep tabs on since they went to Syria some months ago to join extremists in the fight against the Syrian government.
Now for a piece of news largely forgotten by now, MH370. Hope is rapidly fading in the search for the missing jumbo jet after it went missing almost 3 months ago. The focus of recovery efforts, established in early April, was discounted by the Australian Transportation Safety Bureau yesterday, bringing the entire search back to square one. However, they are pretty sure that the plane is somewhere in the Indian or South Pacific Oceans, and they're definitely sure that the plane is indeed on Earth and not abducted by aliens, as some theories suggested in the early stages of the search.
Wow, such theories, yeah. Pope Francis visited the most important site for Muslims and Jews in the Jerusalem city on the final day of his tour of the Middle East. At the Al-Aqsa mosque compound, the Pope urged people of all religions to work together for justice and peace. He then prayed at the Western Wall, bowing his head as he touched the stones. He really emphasized that everyone join in to fight for peace and justice. Also, he called for the leaders of both Israel and Palestine to join him in a prayer at the Vatican, a request that both leaders accepted.
Well, that's good news. And former Microsoft CEO Steve Ballmer finally became the new owner of the Los Angeles Clippers, purchasing it for $2 billion, a record for a professional basketball team, according to Reuters. Other bids by people such as Oprah Winfrey and Oracle CEO Larry Ellison also exceeded $1 billion. Nevertheless, former owner Donald Sterling will still have his NBA hearing on June 3rd.
In the National Spelling Bee 2014, 2 winners were announced when the judge began to run out of the list of words they could test on the contestants. Excuse me if I can't pronounce the names. Siriam Hathwar and Anson Sujo correctly spelled so many words that the judges had to declare them both champions. This was the first time in 50 years that there were co-champions. Both of these students expressed happiness because they were glad to share the victory with another person. Anson noted that this spelling bee was actually a competition against the dictionary rather than his opponents. Even though I never participated in any spelling bee, it's really a great opportunity for such young, talented students to compete in such a respected competition.
Yes, for this week's science news, Russia has threatened to cut off supplies of rocket engines to the United States due to the Americans' aversions to Putin's actions in the Ukraine crisis. As a result, NASA, which is heavily dependent these days on Russian Soyuz rockets after the retirement of the space shuttle, is under extreme pressure to find a way to keep supplies moving to the International Space Station. As if to directly respond to NASA's needs, however, SpaceX, a private space agency, unveiled its brand new Dragon V2 manned space capsule. This 7-man crew capsule, which is reusable and is supposed to sport unparalleled precision in landings, is CEO Elon Musk's most ambitious project yet. Not only is it technologically advanced, but also economical. It costs $20 million per astronaut to launch, compared to the $71 million per man that the federal government pays the Russians to launch astronauts right now. Musk, in a public statement, announced that from a SpaceX standpoint, we expect to be ready to transport crew by 2016 from Kennedy Space Center's Launch Pad 39A, which SpaceX has recently signed a 20-year lease for. It's sad when politics become involved with science, but I guess in this case, fortunately, some good came from it.
And I want to say that today we don't have this day in history, but we have an important event we really want to discuss about. Maya Angelou, one of America's best-loved authors, died on May 28th. She is one of the world's most influential writers. She is hailed as a global Renaissance woman. She also won many awards such as the Presidential Medal of Art and the Lincoln Medal in 2008. She has received over 50 honorary awards, and wrote one of the most influential books of all times. Why Does the Caged Bird Sing?
And there's Esther Park.
This is Esther Park.
Of 1010 with your top 10 news in 10 minutes. There won't be a broadcast next week, so I guess we'll see you in 2 weeks. So, and to make up for this day in history, I guess we can remind you all that June 6th, next week Friday, will be the 70th anniversary of D-Day landings during World War II. On that note, we'll see you when the World Cup is underway.
Yes, World Cup.
Over and out.